Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Series 2, Episode 4 of the Tuesday Talk Show with me, Yvonne Gorman, your host. We are live on multi-channel platforms today. We're going live on the Derby Small Businesses Unite Facebook group, and good morning to everyone watching us live and on catch up on that particular group, which has over 1,100 members, which is amazing. We're also going live on the Essential Print Services Facebook page, so anyone watching us there, big hello, big hello. And we've also got, drum roll please, the Tuesday Talk Show YouTube channel. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So we'll be able to catch up with all the shows and previous episodes on there as well. And we're also going live on the F Word Academy Facebook group, hosted by our very special guest this morning, Serena Humphrey. Good morning, Serena.
Good morning, Yvonne. Lovely to see you.
Good to see you too. Absolute pleasure. I really do need some sort of soundboard for like fake applause or things like that. But yes, I'll give you a massive round of applause. I'm so delighted that you've come on the show this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who this lovely lady is, what she doesn't know about finance and business just isn't worth knowing. I've heard her story several times, and each time it just leaves me feeling astounded. Absolutely phenomenal. So we're going to get straight into it, Serena, if that's okay with you, because these things absolutely fly by, as you know. So Serena, introduce yourself. Tell everyone who you are, where you're from, what you do.
Okay, good morning, Yvonne. Good morning, everyone. My name's Serena Humphrey. I'm the managing director of a company called the F Word, and that's the F Word and the F Word Academy. And I run a financial training and coaching company specifically to help small company owners master the money in their business so they can get the life they want, because most business owners, most small companies don't do anywhere near as well as they should do. And I deeply, truly believe that business owners deserve better, because we put so much into our businesses. It's our life, our soul, our passion, our hard work. And for most business owners, the financials just don't stack up. So it's my mission to help, well, my current mission is to help 10,000 business owners master their money and take a grip and get the financial results and ultimately financial freedom from their business, because I think that's what every business owner deserves.
Absolutely. And your passion just oozes from you. For whatever you do, you really do get that sense that you genuinely want to help and work with all those people. Why 10,000?
Pick a number, go big. Well, my old business, Yvonne, was working very much one-to-one. So the pre-COVID business was one-to-one coaching consultancy. But my dream had always been to go big and to create an online training platform where I could teach everything that I've been teaching one-to-one, but making it accessible for a really low monthly fee so that there was no barrier. Yeah. You know, before our coaching programs were, fairly high end. And I wanted to make all of that knowledge available so that there was no excuse for even the smallest company to go like, I can go somewhere and learn all this stuff. And so I picked a big number.
Why not?
I believe, and I know you're a passionate advocate of small business too. If we could change how successful small companies are, if small companies knew how to keep cash in their business and knew how to make profit and knew how to run their numbers, we would dramatically change the business failure rate in the UK, which is, I'm sure is way too high. Yeah. 9 in 10 companies don't make 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I know for all those companies that don't work, the reasons for it are really basic and really fixable. But the fact is, no one's telling them what to do. No one's showing them, actually, it's a lot easier than you could possibly have imagined to take control of that money part. And if we have more companies surviving and more companies doing well, we would change the landscape of business in the UK. We would, we would have so many more companies doing so much better, employing more people, having more cash to invest, and we would literally turn the economy. And I think coming out of COVID, business owners, we have a massive responsibility to really be part of that story.
One of the impressions that I get from being a part of your Facebook group and knowing you, Serena, is that you talk to people quite openly and honestly about finances, and you make people understand that finances and the money side of business isn't scary, and we shouldn't be shy about talking about it. It happens. It's part of like you say, the success or demise of a business. So it really is important to share people's experiences. And that's one of the benefits of being part of your group. People can very openly talk about really sort of specific issues, as well as broad and theory around finances. So, yeah, and what you did throughout lockdown is absolutely, massive pat on your back for all the work that you did and the help and the support that you gave people throughout lockdown. So, yeah, absolutely fantastic. very brief. This show mainly focused, Serena, on, you know, forward thinking. Don't look too much into the past, but I think it's important that the viewers need to know just very briefly about how you came to doing what you did today, because I find your story absolutely amazing.
Okay, so yeah, it is. It's a very, you know, although I am an accountant and I'm trained as a, you know, qualified chartered management accountant, I've never thought of myself as a sort of a usual accountant, because back in the early 90s, some of people may remember we had a pretty big recession, and I had a trio of 3 financial disasters all happen within a year of each other that pretty much changed everything I was going to do with my life. So the first thing that happened was my parents, who have always been entrepreneurs since I was a 5-week-old baby, they've always had their own hotel or restaurant, and they bought their dream business, which was a hotel in Scotland. They've been waiting all their life to buy this hotel, and they completed on the deal just as the recession was starting. And in between buying the hotel and moving, the housing market crashed, and they ended up trapped with the property down in England and the hotel in Scotland. And as things worsened, the banks up there just took a blanket view. They didn't want any debt north of the border. And even though they weren't in default with anything, they were asked to clear their debt within, I think, like 7 days or something. And because clearly you can't sell a hotel or a house that quickly in a recession, they foreclosed on them. My dad was made, they both lost their home. You know, and in those days, they took a lot. They took pretty much everything you got, lost their home and their business. So they were homeless. Came back down in a beaten up old metro, which was all they could afford, and had to go and get a rented house and start again. Watched my dad be made bankrupt, and he had a breakdown because, as an only, it's your identity, it's who you are, and he became this broken man, and he couldn't afford a car, so he was on his push bike, and he got a job cooking meals in a pub, doing the breakfast shift, and it's just like he'd always been like a pillar of the community, and he'd been. He owned restaurants in our hometown of Grantham. He'd had hotels, and he's a real, and he was a really high-end chef. He was highly respected, and it was just devastating that all this happened. So that happened, which was pretty brutal. And then about 3 months later, I think, or 4 months later, bear in mind recession, 18% interest rates, which some people will remember painfully. 15%. And my house that I'd bought when I was 18, so proud to get on the housing ladder. The mortgage became more than my take-home pay, and it was completely unsustainable. So on the day before my 21st birthday, I handed back my keys to the Abbey National and moved in with my parents in their rented bungalow, which is a pretty crappy little place as well, to be honest. And so, okay, well, this has happened. Let's crack on. Luckily, I had a great job, and I was finance manager for a very, very fast-growing furniture and giftware company. But as the recession bit deeper with that business ended up crashing into receivership within a few months of all this happening. And the thing about that, and this was the real founding piece of why I do what I do, I'd started with that company when we had 2 shops and turned over 500,000. Within 3 years, we got 80 shops and we were turning over £10 million. And I was in charge of finance. I was 22. I had no finance qualifications. I didn't know a debit from a credit, despite trying to study A-level accounts twice. Couldn't make head nor tail of it, but I was really good at cash forecasting. And this business had grown. We hadn't got any profit and loss reporting. We hadn't got any flash reports. We got nothing. We got no forecasting, no budgeting, no MI. We got cash forecasting, which I was really, really good at. And I predicted pretty much within the week what day 6 months later we were going to go bust. And we'd grown the business on the back of reverse premiums and rent-free periods in all these big new retail centres, the Thurrocks and the Blue Waters and the Meadow Halls. We were in all of those centres. So in charge of finance, 22 years old, team of 8 people, not a clue. And the boss said, finance adds nothing to a business. You add no value. You don't bring in turnover. I will never invest in the finance team. He's already lost one business with the very same attitude. So this amazing, and the business itself was phenomenal. The passion in it, the energy. We would walk over hot coals for the guys who owned it. We would work through the night and weekends, anything to get stores open. It was an amazing business with tremendous energy, but there were no financial controls, no financial reporting, and the banks and the accountants weren't saying anything. So as I came out of that, and so I'm at home with my parents in their rented bungalow and no job, going like, wow. And it's like, well, that must have been my fault. I was in charge of the finance. It must have been my fault. So I went away to study as an accountant, and it was like, week one, you're realizing it was classic overtrading, undercapitalization, fundamental lack of any financial controls and reporting. Had those been in place, that business would have survived.
Yeah.
And it's like, right, I have to, and I'm looking around going like, who's doing anything about this? But small businesses weren't being taught about management accounts. Back in those days, no one had management accounts in small companies. So I took myself off, qualified, went to work at Northern Foods and Next, where I learned how the big boys do it really, really well. I thought I'm going to bring all that corporate knowledge and apply it to small companies. And I was the very first pure management accounting SEMA practitioner in the country who were just doing management accounts. And I was being told it can't be done. People don't want management accounts in small companies. But it's like, but if they had them, they would have that financial intelligence and roadmap and visibility, and they could change their future. So that's what I spent the last 20 years doing.
Just phenomenal. When some of the parts of the story there, I can feel that anxiety and nervousness, just thinking, it's like, what? No one had a handle on it. It's just crazy. To me, it's crazy. But again, I want to get stuck into these questions because this, again, time is flying by. And if we've got time at the end, we'll come back to my point. And again, good morning and massive hello to anyone watching this live and on catch up. I hope you're well. Please just send in your comments and questions. We'd love to hear from you and love to give a shout out. We've got a question. We've got a comment here from Darren Toms. Good morning, Darren. That sounds brutal, if not criminal to me, Serena. Poor dad. Yeah, poor dad indeed. Gosh.
Yeah, I don't think he ever got over it, to be honest.
No, I can imagine. Right, question time, Serena. Let's go. How have you used your time during lockdown?
Well, I've actually used it very well, I have to say, I think. So when it all happened, the first thing I did was in the week that it all went crazy is I set up the Corona Business Advice Facebook group, and we quickly kind of grew 3,500 members in there, people just clamoring for like, what's happening today? What's Rishi doing? What's this thing called furlough? All the grants. So it was like a constant job of getting up early, finding out what was in the press, interpreting it, and then doing daily lives. We ran events and workshops and interviews, and we just really brought people together to say, look, it's mad out there. It's changing like by the hour. Some days the support was changing. Rishi'd say one thing, then it changed by lunchtime. So we're very much sort of channeling that information. And then I realized that I'd had this dream to build an online training platform for 5-6 years now, and I'd never had time to do it. We were just so busy. We were booked 5 months in advance. There was no time. So I thought, right, it's now or never. This is the chance. So once the Corona Business Advice, once the urgency and the terror kind of subsided, and we got into May and things were much more stable, I just said, right, this is it. So I kind of put as much client work as I could on hold. A lot of our project work stopped anyway because of COVID, and I just threw myself into building my online platform. And it took about 1,500 hours of just slogging away, writing the content, recording like over 100 videos, learning all the tech. It was really brutal, and I was just like I was a wreck at the end of it. But it was the dream I'd had to like. I know that if we can help business owners understand their money and take control of it in a really easy, non-accountancy way, I know we can change the face of small business. I know we can. And I thought, I just have to do this. This is the window in time. This is when I have to do it. So that took me through till really September. And then we launched
How many costume changes did you have throughout those 1,500 hours?
Oh, quite a few.
Quite a few costume changes.
Yeah, so I'd have them wrapped on the back of the door in my little studio. It'd be like, okay, and change. I got all the tops, all the same, like all different colours in a design that I liked. And then it was like lipstick changes and jewellery changes. To keep them all looking different. But yeah, it was an intense time. Really was it. I wouldn't want to do that again. But
you've managed to achieve one of your dreams, which is, what a great way to use such a diabolical time and to flip it onto something so positive and an investment for the future too, which is absolutely amazing. Serena, what is the hardest thing, do you think, about owning a business from your own point of view, and maybe the ones from the point of view of your customers as well? What is the main theme that people talk to you about, the hardest thing about owning your own business?
It's probably two things I think are the hard. I think it's the mindset and keeping resilient in the face of, even without COVID, it's a tough gig running a business. You know, you've got all the hats to wear, and even when things aren't going well, you've got to stay positive. And I think keeping that mindset positive, and I'm going to have to throw marketing into the mix as well, because most people aren't getting the results they want, the profits and the revenues they want, because the marketing piece isn't consistent and they haven't thought through that route to market. And it's one of those things that it's kind of always changing. So 1 month or 1 year this works, but then it doesn't work anymore and people are bored with that and you've got to find something new. So I think those two things, they're certainly my biggest challenges, and they're what come up the most with the clients that I coach. It's like keeping your head straight and knowing, just keeping that belief that you can make it work, and keeping going when it feels like it isn't working, rather than shrinking back again.
Absolutely. Things change all the time. This is first aired February 2021, and Clubhouse has just been launched. I'm not sure if you're on Clubhouse yet, Serena, but yes, it's changing all the time. It's making sure that you're up to date with everything, and that is really hard. It's not too bad for me because I'm in that creative sort of sphere. But if you're a fishmonger or a florist and you are knee deep in fish or flowers, you're not necessarily on a device, or you're not necessarily being up to date with the latest changes or ideas, or like I say, it's just not in your sort of radar, to be honest. But so yeah, any support like that, very, very welcome. What is one thing that you could change about business, Serena? Maybe business in general or something within your industry. What one thing would you change and why?
I think that comes back to the mission I've got, Yvonne. It's that it frustrates me so much that small businesses out there don't know the basics. The MO is that you set up a business and you hand everything off to the accountant, and you look at your figures once a year, and then you wonder why you're not where you want to be.
And that's crazy to me. I know people who do it, and my accountant tells me that, and I'm like, once a year? What?
I know. Or if you're incredibly lucky, maybe once a quarter if you're lucky. And it's because people are scared, intimidated, confused, don't understand it. Their accountant talks in language they don't get, so they kind of go like, oh my God, I leave that to other people. And that's the biggest thing, because when you go like, oh, it's just my money, it's all it is, and it's basically adding up and taking away. That's kind of, that's the basics of accounts. You add up your income and you take off your costs. Yes, there's some stuff in between, but fundamentally, if you don't care about your money, no one else is going to. Your accountant isn't going to go, come on, let's make more money. Very few accountants are going to say that. It's our responsibility. And when we abdicate that, we're abdicating our future. And then we wonder why there's not enough in our pension and we can't afford to retire, and we're fed up with this life of struggle. So that's the thing I want to change, and that's the thing I'm going to do everything in my power to change, and to change the fact that most small businesses fail when they should succeed.
I definitely want small business owners to feel empowered and confident enough to say to their accountant, this is what I want out of life, not just the business stuff, but the personal stuff as well, because they will go together, and not be afraid of, wanting that big house. If that's what you want and that will make you happy, then not being able to share those goals and dreams with them. And if your accountant, what would you say to someone whose accountant isn't responsive to stuff like that?
Change accountant. Absolutely. There are some shocking accountants out there. There are a few great ones, but I have to say, in my experience, not that many. Because their job is to do the compliance work, do your year-end accounts, do your tax return, and there's a certain level of training that's about that backward-looking stuff. It's about the forward-looking, right? What do you want to do with your life? Because like you said, the business and your personal finances are interlinked and they can't be broken. And yet most people think personal life, business life. Yeah. Your business is your life, because your business is the only thing that's going to give you your life. It's the only thing to give you your future, to pay for your pension and your house and your dreams. So we've got to link the two up, link the personal goals with the business goals. But most people aren't doing that. They set a turnover target and they hope some profit will drop out the bottom. I teach my clients to set your profit target, so you work back up and you decide what you're going to end up with.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm glad we've touched on that subject as well. Absolutely. The next question, we are flying through time, so I'm going to get on to the next question, if that's okay. It's one that I always look forward to asking, and that is, what is the best piece of advice someone has given you, and how does it affect your life?
The The best piece of advice I had, I didn't take at the time, and it was from Mitch Stevenson, who was one of my first mentors, Mr. Nottingham, and he said, put 20% of what you earn away. And he told me about that back in 2000 when I set up, and I didn't take his advice because money was always tight and you're always trying to invest in the next thing. That's the best bit of advice I wish I'd taken.
Wow. Simple as well. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, just put money away.
Just put money away. Just put it away.
I now teach all my clients, you must have 3 months buffer cash in the bank, 3 months overheads in a separate bank account that you never touch. And the businesses who did that before COVID sailed through with no problem.
Yeah, absolutely. No, great advice there. And what advice would you give someone starting a new business? I mean, the majority of people on our channels may have already got their own businesses, but they might be thinking of a side hustle, or might be passing this on to someone starting to create a new company and taking that leap of faith to work for themselves. So what would you say to those people starting out? And how do they know that they're ready?
How do they know that they're ready?
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard, isn't it? Because as an entrepreneur, you are always, by definition, overly optimistic. You believe in your dream, you believe in your passion, and you know you can make it work. I think one of the big reality checks I give to anyone in a new or an early stage business is revenues will take at least twice as long as you think to build. And you'll think they'll be on a graph that will go like that. That's not how revenue works. It's much more like this. So assume that your costs will be higher, and assume that your income will take at least twice, if not 3 times as long to build to where you want it to be. So don't make assumptions on, well, we're going to double revenue month on month and it'll be amazing. It very rarely works like that.
Nice if it does, but
nice if it does, but in general, from 20 years I've been doing business plans with clients, it doesn't work that way. And the other thing would be is like the marketing piece. Marketing, as I think you've probably known from our previous chats, has been the bane of my life. It's a black art that, and I'm working really hard at it. I invest in a lot of training. I'm on a 15 grand coaching program at the moment to really learn about how to market my new business, the academy, because it's completely different to marketing consultancy. But saying to people, if you need to really invest the time and effort at the early days, or as soon as you can, to really understand your route to market, how do you connect with your potential customers, and then you've got to create a consistent marketing plan that you do day in, day out, week in, week out, without fail, because inconsistent marketing never works. Ad hoc random marketing never works. And if people can get that foundation piece, in fact, it's a module in the academy, it's that important. Get that foundation piece in, and don't try to grow that business before you have really nailed the marketing piece, because if you want control of your future and how much profit you're going to make, you've got to have control of your revenue stream. You've got to have a predictable revenue stream, which means and Mr. Toms, who's on the call now, is a demon at this. He's one of my star pupils he knows exactly how to market, and he knows if he just turns that handle, the business comes in. He's amazing at it.
Oh, well done, Darren.
But he's one of very few. Most businesses don't have that cracked. And I know it's a really hard thing to get right, marketing, in my view. That's maybe my belief and mindset. But if you don't put that time into that route to market piece, and then consistency of marketing, we'll never have consistent revenue or consistent profit or consistent cash. And then we get that life of inconsistency.
Yeah, it's the consistency that many people find difficult, because you've got to do it on the days you don't feel like doing it. And that can feel like a real struggle. We've got a question from Darren. And Darren, I will come back to your question if we have time at the end. But thank you for sending that in. We'll get back to you. Matt Elliott is watching this morning. Love the content, Serena. Good morning, Matt. Good to see you. And like anyone watching this live or on catch up, please just send your comments and questions. We'd love to hear from you. Next question, Serena, and it's one I love to learn. I get webinar fatigue some days because I just try and absorb so much into this sponge in my head. But what book has influenced you the most?
Well, it's a book I bang on about a lot. So anyone who knows me will be sick of hearing about this. But it's a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport.
Okay.
And the premise is that we have become, through technology, we have become a very distracted world, really. We're distracted. We're constantly looking at social media, phones. We've got interruptions. We've got emails. And we're in and out of that very fragmented thinking all day. So we're losing this ability that we used to have really periods of deep, uninterrupted work time, where we can achieve something big. And the idea is that if you can carve out that deep work time, and again, Darren Toms is my star disciple on deep work as well. If you carve out that deep work time, you can actually get really big things done for your business that make a difference. The things that add value, the things that make a difference to your clients, to your future. Whereas I'm sure lots of people can relate to, like, you start the week and before you know it, it's Friday and you're thinking, what have I done? I've been answering emails, I've been on social media, I've been busy, but I haven't actually done anything.
And that list of things that you wanted to achieve that week, it's like, I've only ticked off 2. I wanted to get all this done. How did that happen? Blink and you miss it. Week's gone.
I know. And now, I don't mean, I keep going like, it's Thursday again. How did that happen? So this deep work is about saying, right, I'm going to have that day or that half day. And Darren actually does 2 days a week. And he just gets such amazing stuff done. The progress in his business through deep work has been amazing. And, in my life, I think I found out about deep work 4 or 5 years ago. And I've taught all my clients, since then. And days where like email is off, phone is in a different room, so I can't pick it up. And you just get your head down and you do something important, something that actually moves the needle on your business.
Absolutely.
That's probably been my most influential book I've read.
I'll pop the link to that book in the show notes after this, Serena, as well. And we've actually teamed up with a local bookstore called Ashby Diller Books, who, if we post anything about books on the show, she'll source it for us and be able to sell that to anyone who wants a copy of it. So yeah, I'll pop the link on there.
I love that. Keep it away from Amazon. Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And customer service that Kate at Ashby Diller Books provides is absolutely phenomenal. I think we've embarrassed Darren a little bit this morning. Serena is searching for an embarrassment emoji. Star people, absolutely wonderful. Serena, what have you become better at saying no to?
Better say no to. I think all those things, the emails and the distractions, really, and because I've got very, very clear goals now. I think this is where having the clear goals and that real vision for your business helps, because you can more easily discern when something isn't going to serve you, when something is not going to move you forward, and it's just a distraction. So it's something that someone wants you to have a call with someone, but you're thinking that it's just like, oh, you must have a coffee, you must have a call. Actually, no, I mustn't, because I've already got my priorities for this quarter extremely clear. I know what I need to have done by the end of April. And I won't get those done if I spend too long on email or too long on social media. I mean, I've even kind of bowed out of LinkedIn for now, because it just isn't my focus and I can't do it well enough. So just drop it out, because I can't do everything. And I've got some big stuff I want to get done. And I think that's the biggest thing, is building that discipline of saying, no, that's not for me.
And being brave enough to do that, and to, like you say, dip out of those social media channels, because when they're not working for you, just because people are on it doesn't mean to say that it works for you. And being brave enough to say, do you know what, I'm going to leave that for a bit and focus. So yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Amazing. This next question, Serena, a bit of a tough one, and feel free to skip it if you feel that you want to, but it's one that's important to discuss. I think I know that in my experience of networking online and in real life, when people ask you pre-COVID in particular, how are things, and the default answer is, yeah, everything's fine, thank you.
Everything's fine, yeah, even when it wasn't.
Even when it wasn't, and so I think it's important to discuss it. And there were times throughout lockdown, and still now, where I just think, well, what's the point? What's the point in doing what I'm doing? Have there been times, Serena, when you felt like quitting? And more importantly, could you share with us what triggered it and how you got over that mindset as well? Yeah,
I mean, when was the last time I felt like quitting? Yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
Yesterday was not a good day. I think the days you feel like quitting are when you think, I don't know when this is going to turn. I don't know how much more. In fact, I said to Sean last night, I don't know how much more I've got in me to keep going. He said, well, you can't quit. And I said, no, well, I'm not going to quit. Obviously, you might feel like it, but what always reconnects me back is get back in touch with my vision, get back in touch with the passion and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And the fact that, what's the alternative? I'm unemployable. I could never, I'd rather sell my house than have to go and get a job. And I think it's just, it's the grit and determination that you build up over the years, that muscle that you build up. But it's just, I just reconnect to my vision. Yeah. And then I go and do some meditation, take myself out for a walk, listen to an inspiring podcast on mindset. But I think it's, if people feeling that way, God, it's so normal.
Yeah.
There aren't one of my clients who don't feel like quitting on a regular basis. You know, and I do too, you know, because what I'm doing, I'm building a new business and it's tough. You know,
Yeah.
it's something I've never done before. I've never built an online program. I've never sold an online program before. And it's a whole new world. And, you know, there are days when it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
But,
Absolutely.
you know, the passion is so big that I'm never going to give up on it. And that's what keeps connecting me back and taking me back into a place where you find the will to fight another day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a case of, you know, rather than quitting, it's take a break, you know, however long that needs to be, just take a break from the situation. And it's phenomenal. Just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then you come back and things just look so much different. It's a strange old thing, but yeah, but thank you for sharing that. I think it's really
one of my Tony Robbins tips is if I'm really struggling, I just take myself off for a 5-minute dance. Just go and leap around for a few minutes and I kind of feel better.
Love it. Love that idea. So you've managed to launch the F1 Academy, a dream of yours. But what else is left on your bucket list?
I mean, business-wise, I want to launch an academy just for the finance staff who work in small companies, because that's a very specific skill set that isn't really taught. And if you do your accountancy qualifications, you're never quite taught how to manage the purchase ledger in the bank. And so I want to launch an academy just for that. And I want to launch a national qualification for finance staff in small companies. So it becomes an accredited national qualification. I mean, I don't want to get to do that, but that's my business bucket list, is to create that. Because AAT is great, but it's a 4-year slog. It's 3 nights a week. And it's very little of it is applicable to the practicalities of day-to-day in a small company. And then though we do train our clients one-to-one on that, I want to create an online platform that is just about, you know, this is what it's like to run the numbers in a small company. Because the risks are very different to the corporate stuff they teach in the big programs like SEMA and AAT.
Gosh, that's
a big dream.
That's amazing. What about personal then? You alluding to something? What's going on? You're going to do bungee jumping or?
I have to say my business is probably the biggest part of my life. I think personally, you probably know I had some health issues. I had breast cancer 18 months ago, and really it's about just really want to build up really great health and fitness and strength and just live a great life, really live a good life. You know, obviously things like pay off the mortgage but, you know, I think for me, my biggest thing right now is that real kind of building on, because that last year was incredibly stressful, wasn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah.
Really build my health back up now and get onto a good footing.
Good. Excellent. We're going to come back to Darren's question, if that's okay, Serena. So Darren, your star pupil, has asked, what quick finance fixes can small businesses make now to give them every chance of surviving the return from COVID once lockdown ends? So what quick fixes make right now? Good question.
Okay.
Thank you.
So here's the thing. The one thing that will take a business down is cash or lack of cash. So you've got to have control of your cash flow. If you're trying to juggle it in your head, get it onto a 13-week rolling cash flow on a spreadsheet or use an app, but make sure that you understand your numbers. And quick fixes, I mean, I advocate, you know, getting cash in the bank, getting buffer cash away. So if there's anything you can do right now to put cash away, and even if that's cut down your dividends right now, if you can afford to do so, to get cash put away, cash is the one thing that will give you strength and resilience to trade through if things are going to be tough this year. The economy will tighten. Customers are going to take longer to pay as things tighten up through this next sort of 6 or 8 months or so. Cash is everything. So do whatever you can to preserve cash, get cash put away. You know, get your my other thing is put your tax money in a separate bank account if you can, so that you don't have these big crunches at VAT quarter time. But cash is everything. So do whatever you can to preserve cash, control cash. And if you can, you know, if it means delaying, obviously you need to invest where you need to invest. And I'm a big one investing in training for myself. But equally, there's no point doing that at the expense of cash being tight and worrying about paying the bills, because worrying about cash is very, very debilitating. It's very stressful, and it takes your mindset from where it needs to fear and lack. Ooh.
Absolutely. Are you still there, Serena? We think we've lost her in a dance. It's quite exciting. So whilst we wait for Serena to come back, just want to make sure that everyone, everyone's well. And if you can send in your comments and questions, that would be awesome to hear from you. And yeah, if you watch this live or on catch up, please do get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. And remember that we've got a YouTube channel now. Yes, so exciting. So we need you to press the subscribe button if you're watching it on YouTube. That'll also be awesome. Want to make sure that if you want to get in touch with Serena or myself, then please do find us on the usual channels, on our websites, on this, and on where you're watching this now, you can get in touch with us there by sending us a direct message. Oh, we're here, we're back. It's live, everybody. That's what happens. You got a little sneak preview into the background of my studio. That's very exciting. And hello, Tony. Good morning, Tony. Good to hear from you. So we'll wrap up there. Please join us next week, next Tuesday at 10 a.m. with another special guest for Series 2, Episode 5 of the Tuesday Talk Show. And please do give us a cheeky like, give us a high five if you're watching this, and send us some love. And we'd love to hear from you. And make sure you keep safe and look after each other. We'll see you soon. See you later. Bye.